So I wanted to create this video because I come from a sales background. And for those of you in sales or that just don't have a background in marketing, maybe you don't have a background in sales or marketing, but it took me a while to realize this because sales was integral to my DNA. So my concept of marketing was sales, was actually just picking up the phone and speaking to people. And that thread itself through in everything else I did, whether it was online or anywhere else, because it was very easy for me to pick up the phone or go to an event, you chat to someone, and then you get an opportunity. Now, with the digital medium such as LinkedIn and email, the reason why typically people are launching campaigns and they see all these fantastic people that just launch a campaign and they book a ton of meetings, in reality, the landscape has changed. And I realized this a few years back because we tried in 2023 to do more distribution, more outreach. We hired 10 plus sales team members to make more calls. We were sending more emails out because LinkedIn had decreased its limits and its connection rates. So we understood that, well, at the time, what we felt we understood was that we just need more firepower. We need, because the message we was asking was that of booking meetings in. And a lot of people are experiencing the same thing, and they'll say to me, it's saturated. LinkedIn doesn't work, email doesn't work, no one's responding, yada yada yada. It's my inbox is full of people pitching me, and it doesn't work. Now, in by the end of the year, I was exhausted. I felt drained, and I was at a very low point because, we hadn't successfully been able to deploy the sales teams. We had to let a lot of people go. It was very not the best experience. But what we learned from that was there was one campaign that was performing, and it was one we set up that wasn't asking for a meeting. It was just sharing value. We had started a LinkedIn group. We had shared some valuable assets. And over time, years went by now, it's 2025, we learned that it was very easy to launch a campaign actually that generated loads of responses. But I want to be able to thread and link the value here because a lot of people, this is what they miss out on, is that they understand LinkedIn groups could be effective, maybe, or maybe they don't. They feel like it's too soft a call to action, right? The same with a webinar, right? Sometimes you run webinars, no one attends, yada, yada, yada. The point is that, and the purpose of this video is to explain what the mentality and the mindset is behind launching these and how you can use this mindset and knowledge to overlay sales on top of marketing. Because a lot of people there are talking about, hey, just post content out. Bro, it doesn't work. If you just post content and that's all you do, good luck. You might be one of those rare breeds that are able to captivate the space with content and post. But the majority of people out there, I don't believe that's their wheelhouse and that's how they're going to scale their company out, especially when they're building out an extra channel. They might be reliant on referrals, they might be reliant on SEO, and they're looking to build outbound. So they start posting more content. They hear about zero clicks. If you've not heard of that, it's basically AI absorbing all the SEO traffic because people no longer have to go on websites to find that information. So now people are confused and they try outbound, it doesn't work, and they say it's saturated, it doesn't work. I've tried it, and I've tried fancy AI personalization with videos where it says the person's first name. It doesn't work. The problem is that a lot of companies out there, unless you are in a market with a big total addressable market, so loads of people to go out to where you can just spam out invites. And even then, a lot of the email providers are getting very clever and they're cutting onto how to see if you're just sending blasted emails that aren't really relevant because they want to cut down on that. So that is going to be left to the absolute pros, the ones that are technical wizards, and there are probably some out there, definitely out there, that can do that stuff. But for the majority of people, it's not going to be a useful return on your investment in time and money. Even if you're getting cheap tools to do this, still it takes time to do this stuff. And if you go past a month and it doesn't work, that means time has been wasted because what's not working is stopping you from growing. So that's why what I want to get into is, well, not only how to run these campaigns and the methodology behind it, or the thinking behind it, because I want you to have that eureka moment of, oh, we can actually launch campaigns that get tons of responses. Oh, it's actually about human connection that's going to make a big difference. And that is something that is innately more accessible to a lot of you out there, because you've been to exhibitions, you've been to events, you've had genuine human conversations. So rather than think about what's that one clever pitch that you can send out that highlights a specific pain point and spend months, years trying to get it right, you can instead attract an audience and then just have genuine conversations. So I've been speaking a lot about, and I've got this board up, and I know that maybe it's a bit rough around the edges. I don't have a stylus. I need one of them stylers, but I think I'll be able to get my point across. So, what are the assets that produce results no matter what groups you've got? So, these are peer groups, these are discussion groups where people come together around a common interest. So, that can be a common outcome, it can be a common pain point, but usually it's not. It's more likely an outcome that they're looking to achieve, or just like-minded individuals. So it could be an industry, right? So examples of this is like we created a group. It was called Operational Excellence Leaders, and that was really good for operational excellence leaders, because people who are in operations that are in manufacturing are probably looking to become great at it, and there's a bucket of people that are focused specifically on operational excellence. They've got these belts. Again, I'm not a master of this, so that's as far as my knowledge goes. But when we started this group, we got 400 people to join this group in 4 months. And that was quite a good result, I would say. If we went out and the guy we was working with had a product with simulation software, and we went, hey, do you want to have a chat about simulation? Probably wouldn't have got the any bites, because people would have been reserved. They would have been apprehensive. So this is where groups come into play, because it's far easier to join a group and you might get some useful connections. You might get a useful bit of insight. There's so much things that are going on here that it just takes you a click of a button to say yes to, that it makes sense that people start actually going, oh yeah, I want to be part of something. I want to be part of an initiative. And that's the divide that's happening, I feel. There's AI that is democratizing the ability to do a lot of this stuff. So what happens is that you can race and play the game of, yeah, we're going to do loads of AI robots that are going to take over all of what we do, and we're going to have an AI rep team. The reality is that most of the industries, if you are working in B2B and it's a high ticket price above 20 grand, is not going to be sold that way. It's going to be sold through genuine human relationships and connections. So you need to build infrastructure around that. How do you attract genuine conversations and relationships? How can you invest in the audience that you're going out to so that they are better at what they do, and you're seen as a connector, you're seen as someone that is going to make a difference? And just for yourself and your business aspirations, I think that's more important now than ever. We are working from home. This is something that wasn't commonplace just a few years ago. Now with AI, this is another thing that is just automating a lot of things that are human-like, but not necessarily human. So we feel disconnected. A lot of people are out there feeling the same way, and you're capable and have the opportunity right now of creating these environments and these I want to say a word that is not coming to the top of my mind, right? These tribes where you're actually serving them, irrelevant of if they're going to buy your product right here, right now. And that's why you attract so much more attention from these kinds of initiatives. The same with roundtables. So roundtables again is building and curating like-minded people around a common topic so that you can discuss it. And the same with webinars, right? Webinars tried and tested. The thing which I like with webinars is LinkedIn lives, because it allows you to invite your audience. And I have generated in a month 100 to 300 plus signups here. I have been able in 1 month, and when I say I mean my team as well, so let me get all the praise, 50 plus signups. And here, as I mentioned before, and that was in 1 month. And then here, I've been able to get 100 plus sign-ups in a month, right? So tell me where you're booking that many meetings, right? But the problem is, and this is where the big but is that if this is all you're doing, which I love the phrase farming, which is this is your farming, right? This is you getting in front of people that would otherwise not pay attention to you, and now they are paying attention. There's this big other side, which is called hunting, and this is where the sales teams play. The problem is, and this is kind of disconnect between sales and marketing, is that both sales and marketing, they don't speak to each other. This is what sell marketing are doing, and sales like, but where are the meetings, bro? Um, and this is where you come in with your assessments or scorecards that you can start dishing out. And this is kind of the bridge, I would call it, because this is not necessarily sales, because sales are just looking for booked meetings, right? This is all sales care about, is booking in a meeting. But the problem is, if you approach people too savagely and you're just like, hey, do you want to book a meeting? People are just going to ignore you. But if through this, because again, if you're attracting value, that means you get to ask questions. When you get to ask questions here, you get to qualify. So you can actually add a layer of qualification here, right? And what I mean by qualification is how big is your business? What challenges do you face? And all of that jazz that you know is important. And if you haven't, and you haven't put that down, you need to understand that. And sometimes calling is the best way to do this. But this is what allows you to generate leads that then, really important here, you follow up with and you start hunting. So this is calling. This is having conversations. This is the stuff that, it's not replaceable. You need to have conversations, you need to have interactions that are not automated. And this is where a lot of people fail, is they'll even try and do this, where they'll add people in here and then it just goes into automation land because they want to automate everything. And yes, there are companies out there, I'm sure, that have cracked the code on this. But for most companies out there, you're not at that scale, which this is a concern where you need to automate every doohickey. What you need to do is have real conversations so that you build real relationships. And that's what books meetings in. And that's what can book meetings in predictably, which is a big word here, because this is predictable. Yeah. Because if you are having, and I say this all the time, if I send out 1,000 emails and it's asking to book a meeting, most likely I won't get many meetings in. There are some exceptions to the rule, right? Of course, if you've got an outstanding offer, but if you're operating in saturated spaces, your offer is the amount of active buyers that are actively like waking up, hey, I need to buy your product, is very low, then this is the approach that's going to work because you're targeting people that are dormant but relevant buyers, which means that, and typically 95% of the audience that don't wake up and think about buying your solution, they're thinking about, hey, I've got 101 things. Oh, look at this peer group that talks about something I'm interested in. Oh, look, there's a roundtable going on that I could be a part of. Oh, look at this webinar that has an interesting topic that I should really pay attention to. That is far easier of an ask, and that allows you to educate. And from there, you're then able to qualify, and you do that through actually calling. So there's no point getting all of these people and then you don't call, you don't follow up, you don't DM, you don't have one-on-one conversations because then you just lose the connection. And the idea here is not on mass outreach, but relationship depth. And the hard work is in, and the miles are in, and the money is in actually having the conversations, the interactions, the calling, and having these events that allow you to be in front of people. I came from the event space, so one of the big things here, for me anyway, is that back in the day, you'd go to an exhibition or event for the connections that you'd make that you'd otherwise not be able to access because back in the day there was no virtual meetings, so you'd have to host host an event, find a table, find a place. Back in the day there was no access to data like we have today, so distribution wasn't possible with the right accurate data. Now all of this is available to you, and you can create these micro communities and micro partnerships and cohorts where you're going to be able to build this trust and relationship there that allows you to impact your business and creates this flywheel effect that allows your sales team to call better quality and have better quality conversations. And for those of you who aren't adept at selling, it allows you to build trust through mediums that are not so sales focused. And that in itself allows you to start educating. Um, this is just a snapshot, right? There's so much more you can do. You can create your own podcast. That's another area that we've explored, and that's been very successful in getting really high, hard to hit, find, reach people and getting them in. So, but the whole point of this is if you don't have a bit the ability to qualify and you're just looking at these leads coming in, they're not gonna convert themselves. And this is part of where we go with go to market. So when we look at community led growth and go to market, it's like linking the thread, because it's funny how there's salespeople out there and they're so used to booking in meetings that when you present them with a lead that's come in and interested in a roundtable, they don't know how to qualify that opportunity and turn it into an opportunity, because it's like not them directly calling the lead and being like, hey, how do you want to book a meeting kind of thing. It's kind of like you're slowly understanding and qualifying and seeing if there's a need, seeing if identifying if there's a need and building trust. And I think that's the big difference between when you've got leads that are just coming inbound through SEO that are just actively buying, or through referrals that are actively buying, that have built trust already, that have already a need. When you operate in this model, it's about how do you identify the need and how do you build trust. um, and there's a few ways. I mean, this is a long enough video, so hopefully this gives you context. And if there's more of this that you want to see, I'll be dropping some insights. So stick around and let me know what you want to see, because I'll do more of these. Cool.